let's just see when we're live. Today we're gonna create something pretty cool. As you can see here, I want to create a universe inside a universe inside a universe. Okay, I guess it's not really clear to see that yet. Welcome, welcome everybody. Dark soon. Hello, hello. Can you see me? Is everything working? Please stand by. Okay, you can see me. Seems like. Let me refresh this stupid site then. So I wanna see myself as well. Okay. Great feedback, YouTube. Fantastic. Okay, seems like we're live. Thank you. Not entirely sure from where. I'll just repeat what I've just said. I want to create basically a space fractal with a universe inside a universe inside a universe. In the background here for a story section of the game. A lot of you wanted more live streams, so this is at the very least a little bit interesting what we're doing today, so I thought I'd just live stream it. Yeah, so it's basically in theory it's a boring coding task, but I think it's quite enjoyable still, because it's at very least something very visual, you know. It's not like reworking the voice system where you literally can't see any progress at all. This at the very least is hopefully a little bit interesting to see the progress and how it's made. And also I'm not entirely sure 100% how we're gonna do this, but it will end up working out eventually, I hope. Felix takes up. Hello, Dark Soon's here as well. Very nice. Thank you for streaming, Jonas. I mean, if it's that easy to make you happy, here you go. We'll have a little development stream. Because I would have been working on this now anyway, so might as well stream it. So the idea is that now the background should start fading out, and then you can see here after a while it pops in again as a small square. And the first thing we need to do is just turning that into a smooth transition, and then the other thing we need to do is putting some squares around these around this space thing, so it looks a little less glitchy, a little more like it's supposed to stop at these edges. You can see it starts out as a little square, and I feel like this will look very cool when it's done. It's already looking kind of promising. So let's get started. Here's basically the entire code that draws that stuff in the background. And I think the first thing I will do is just make sure that background fades out and in, to make sure that there's a little more of a smoother transition. And then pretty much the other thing we need to do is adding those squares to the mix. Yay, a new Jonas, Sheepdog, welcome. Hey Jonas, I don't know if you remember me, but basically I lost interest in game development, and that's why I didn't show up here anymore. Ah, yeah, I remember you, Tabele, welcome. Now you're getting back into game development. Well, you basically just took a little break. That is very normal, I guess. Everybody does that every now and then. Is it possible to make open world multiplayer games in Unreal Engine 4? Yes. Yes, of course, why not? Yeah, I think that is possible. I'm not sure how easy that is. I have never done that. I have never used Unreal Engine 4 a lot, but I'm pretty sure that's possible. Okay. Water. Let's not spill it all over the place again. Love your videos, thank you. Okay, let's try to focus for a little bit. I'll just code a little bit, and then we'll do a question time later. Here, perhaps I'll just... I'm not sure if I should do like that. universe alpha. And then this is basically a 20-second loop. So what we need to do is time divided by 60. That is the current animation time in seconds. Then mod 20, that will make sure that this variable always stays between 0 and 20, so it will always go up to 20, and then it will be reset to 0. But that will basically make for a nice saw curve. But what I wanted it is I wanted to be a spiky curve that goes up and down. This one here jumps back to the bottom when it's at the top. I want to smooth this out a little bit. See, kids, that's why you need math for programming. Math can be quite useful. And the way you do this is you just say -10, and then you take the abs of that, which basically turns everything in those brackets into a positive number. And now this should basically go up and down from 0 to 10. So if we divide it by 10, then it should go up and down from 0 to 1. And we can use that number for the alpha parameter here. Burp, 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 and burp. And let's check out if that works. Mod 20 means that it won't reach 20. Yeah, that's true, it won't reach 20, it will just go back to 0 when it's at 20. Okay, so now it's fading out, so at the moment it's the other way. It's the wrong way around. Now it starts fading in again. So pretty much already thought that might happen. So let's just inverse that by writing 1 minus. And now this term is starting to get pretty giant, but now it should do what I wanted to do. Oof, magic numbers. Yeah, that turned into a little bit of a monster line. Okay, now it's fading in. And then once it's getting really, really big, it should fade out again. It is. Very nice, so it's working. I'm wondering how long this will take us. Taking your bets in the comments. What do you think? Will we be able to finish this universe fractal in this stream? Or will it take us longer? I'll be streaming for, let's say, 1 or 2 hours. Will we get it done? I actually think so. Making quick progress here. It's still fading out a little too slowly. So I guess I'll take this entire thingy here, multiply it by 10. This is not the way you do clean programming, by the way. Because if you look at this later on, then you'll have no idea what the hell this line means. And then we'll take the minimum to clamp it to 1, basically. So now it should have a short fade in time and a short fade out time at the beginning and at the end. Sheepdog, you have to go to school now? Really? Which time is it in your time zone? It's like 4 p.m. here. Nice effect so far, thank you. I'm really curious to see how this will look when it's done, this effect that we're working on right here. Okay, nice. I think it's doing what I wanted it to do. It's fading out and in. So now what I want is this entire universe to be confined in a square, and I want those squares to scale as well. That's gonna be a little tricky, I think, How exactly are we going to do this? Whatever. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, 64 times 64, whatever. Num. And then we'll just draw a square. And then we'll scale this up to 300%, which is 219 if I'm not mistaken. Never do math on stream. I still haven't learned my lesson. Ah, this one is here what I want though. Because I want the square to be in the center. 192, 192. And now in theory that should fit in here exactly. Does it? More or less. Okay. Whatever. Good enough, I hope. We'll see how precise it is. So this will require some shader math, I guess. Some shader magic. Okay, so first of all, I'll just try to use the same shader as this one here. If I'm lucky, that might actually work. Or maybe it's not even all that complicated. Let me think. Doing one square will be easy, but how do we make it loop? Okay, we'll write a shader for this. Right universe square. Put that to 0, 0, and then the size probably needs to be a lot bigger. Let's just see if that is the correct square size. Perhaps we can approximate this without doing any math actually. Oh, oh no, I took 190 instead of 192. Oopsie doopsie. Thanks for pointing that out. Now I know why it's not 100% accurate. It would be nice if you completed the last boss on easy. I'm not impressed. Oh yeah. Yeah, the AI, that is pretty much exactly what the AI would say. Like, the AI is pretty nasty to deal with, right? Even if you change the difficulty from very easy to infinitely easy or whatever.
Wait a second. Did you just voluntarily select the easiest difficulty? Not sure if I should shame you for that or if I should applaud you for your self-awareness. Okay, I've made up my mind. Shame. Shame.
Yeah, so that would fit pretty well. Thanks for the idea. And then, of course, if you change it again...
Good job. You're really managing to annoy me with that constant back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Good idea. So where did we stop? Right, the square. What the hell is... Oh my god. Okay. I know what's happening. Yeah, let's actually turn this into a power of 2 texture. Well, let's just redo the sprite. This is messed up. No. We'll do here. 64. And now this time we'll pick a power of 2 because that just makes more sense. Here we go. Hey everybody! I would love to watch more live streams. Is there a time where you always stream? No, it's pretty random actually. I just stream when I feel like it, but a lot of people have asked for more live streams. Oh, who knows? Perhaps there's something we can do about that. Okay, so far the squares are clearly not at the correct position, but that's pretty much what I expected. They're not supposed to. I wonder why they're moving around so weirdly though. Oh, I guess because we're still using these uniforms here. Let's just reset that to 0, 0. And then we gotta find out what 1024 divided by 128 is. That should be about 8, right? But then our sprite only takes half of that image, so maybe 16 would be my educated guess on the correct number. Let's check. The square looked like brackets for a second. Is it the AI in disguise? Oh, who knows? Lol, where is it now? Very interesting. That is strange. What if I just put that outside of the shader? Because that's not what should be happening in theory, right? Ah. Yeah. So a little bit of try and error, but believe me, this will look very cool. And by the way, have you already set your bets on how long this will take us? Will you snail? I don't know. Will I? I think you will. Okay, now at the very least it's scaling correctly. Just something was not quite right there. I feel like the offset, right? 0.5 and 0.5 should be the offset. Okay, let's just write a new shader for this. Because I want this to tile infinitely. This is the path I'm not very keen on doing on stream. A little bit dry. And it requires a lot of concentration, and focusing is always a little hard when live streaming. But we'll make it work. It will work out. Okay, so these are the obsolete ones. We don't want that. And this parallax shader is the one I use for the stars in the background. So I think I should probably start with that. Duplicate, parallax, and then I call this zoo or tiled from center. Because that's pretty much what I want to do. I want this to tile, and I want to be able to zoom in and out pretty much as I want. And then instead of an offset, this should have a uniform called zoom. And then we don't need the offset. Or actually, this won't even be all that tricky. I know that when this shader is done, it will be a very simple shader. But getting there is always the problem. So... like, do I just need to multiply the texture coordinate with the zoom level? Is that all I need to do? And then, of course, we don't need the offset, right? Problem with that is that it won't zoom to the center, though. I want it to zoom to the center. So I think what I need to do is subtracting 0.5. I think I've got this. I'm good at math. I'm subtracting 0.5, and then after scaling it, I'll add it back in. And then I'm wondering why that entire thing's clamped to 0.5. Why is that? I don't know. So let's remove it. Ah, that's just to make it loop properly. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. But then let's do it like this and remove this multiplication at the end here. And are you all still following along? Yes. Okay. Okay. Good. Very, very nice. Okay. I think that should be it. Let's see if it works. Some shader magic. Shaders always have some very cool and interesting effects when they don't work as planned. That can always look quite funny. Well, let's hope that is not the case here. That actually didn't work out, so I can remove it. And now we'll just say shader set, and we'll set this to shader. How did I call this shader again? Tiled from center. Tiled from center. Shader reset, and then here we'll draw all of the shader logic. First of all, we should get the uniform that we need to set. We can do that here in the create event. Shader tiled here. A lot of you wanted to have a shader tutorial. I'm not sure this exactly qualifies as a tutorial, but at least something, right? And then the uniform was called zoom. UF zoom. And then for the sake of testing, like, what will we set this to? I guess we'll just use the standard size variable and see if it scales correctly with everything else. Oh no, wait a second. Here we put in the size variable, and here we keep the scale constant. By just saying global cam zoom times 2. No, 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 no. And let's put that into an extra line, just so we can pretend that we're actually writing clean code, which is not the case. Here, let's make that line a little bit shorter. So this could have some very unexpected results. Let's check what happens. I'm curious. Who's curious? Hey, welcome. Did you check the size of the game and does that match the canvas? Oh, it's always so hard to understand out of context. I apologize. I should look at chat more often. But then, you know, I also kind of have to focus. Why do you have so much copy and paste code? Can't you use functions? Yeah, yes, I can use functions. That is a good question. I guess I'm just too lazy to set them up, and just copy pasting this 4 times feels more efficient. Why did it not start? Could you start, please? What? Okay, there seems to be an error in this shader. It was talking to me. Oh. Okay, can't see anything actually. Oh! Oh! I mean, it's not completely wrong. Whatever the hell is going on there. Will it reset? Yeah. And now the same thing will happen again. See, I told you. Very interesting stuff can happen when you do shader magic. And what we learned is that it's the wrong way around, and also it's too small. So the way we invert that is probably just by saying 1 divided by size, I'd imagine. And let's see if that works. The game window name is still made with GameMaker Studio 2. How do you see that? Okay, this actually looks almost like I want. Very close, we're getting closer. I think it needs to be about twice as big. 16, yeah, that was the number I had earlier as well. I'm not entirely sure how to update the window caption. But I'll do some research on that. Interesting. Okay, that is not the correct size either. So maybe what's in between 8 and 68 plus 4 is 12. That is strange. Why is that? Why would that be something in between? That is strange. Let me check if you're correct about the window caption. Made in Game Maker Studio 2. Yeah, okay. You are right. But is that also the case when the game is exported? I have to check. That is of course something we should fix. No, I didn't pay attention to what my shader did. Oh, it's working. Oh, very nice. Now all I need to do is to basically inverse the transparency. Universe. Oh, that's, by the way, that's not how you write universe, is it? Then we have our square alpha. The easiest way to inverse that is just to get rid of that one minus. Is that already what I want? No. Probably times 2 or something like that is probably enough. Because I want this to be visible for a bit longer. And then of course it's supposed to... the animation is supposed to reset at a different point in time for this one, so that will require some more math magic. You can really see me struggling with math in this stream. And now the squares should start fading in the background. And they should not just pop out of nowhere like this. Okay, so that will be the next challenge. I think the alpha blending of that is working. Okay. So basically, it's just one line that we need to get right, but that line will, once again, probably be quite a monster line. So let's call this one squares size. And then that's what goes in here. Now I want this to have an offset of 10 seconds. So what I'll do is I'll just add 10 in here. And now we do have an offset, but now the problem is that the universe will not be in the squares anymore. The snail's name should be Shell. That's a funny name. Yeah. Sounds cute. I don't think the snail will have any name actually. Yeah, nice. It's doing what it's supposed to do, just not at the correct point in time. So now we somehow need to offset that entire animation once again by 10 seconds to fix that. That doesn't sound all that hard. How do we offset this by 10? We can't do it in here because that's where I added the other offset. Offsetting it by another 10 would undo my change. Where else could I do it then? I don't understand. How do I offset this by 10 seconds? I don't know. I don't know the solution. Do you? What's the AI name? The AI is called Squid. Sounds like a cool name for me. You're getting mobbed by Squid. Sure. That's the name. Do you have a better name? Post it in the chat. Shell and Squid. No, just kidding. We can only keep the bad names. Shell is too good. What now? Let's just try random stuff. I'm sure this will not work, but something needs to work. What if I just add 10 seconds here? And then just mod that entire thing again by 20. Is that what I wanted to do? Ah, wait a second. I don't... Wait. What is the name? Yeah, sure. Have you tried with a black border color in the animation square? But you can't see black on a black background. Squib. No. But you want me to write it in the chat for you? Here you go. Maybe the name blocker. The name blocker. Blocker the AI. Made of blocks. Also, okay, your name is a bad name. Okay, I see. That's right, because Squid is perfect. Don't you dare say anything against that name, or I'll have to ban you from the stream. 10 mod 20 is always 10. Yeah, is it? Because there was still something before that mod. Oh, maybe you were right. Yep. So I guess I need to put brackets here. If it's a female name, Shelly. Don't worry, I won't ban you for giving feedback. I appreciate feedback. I was just kidding. Oh, wait a second, did that just work? I was too distracted. Why the hell did that work? Oh no, it's not working. Dang it! It's doing exactly what I was afraid it would do. It's just doing what it was doing before. Dang it. Okay, whatever. We'll get rid of this and then one bracket here. Oof, so I think the only solution we have is dividing this by a value that represents 10 seconds. Actually, that should do the trick, right? If not, then I have no idea what to do. Back to looking at coding, which I don't understand. I'm sorry. That's how game development streams look like. You want me to stream? Here I am. I'm streaming. Oh jeez. That is very high resolution squares. But it's working. Yeah, these squares need to fade in a bit later so we don't have to see that crazy flickering, because that does not look nice. Yeah, here's where they should fade in. Nice. Very nice. I made the math work. Whoop whoop. Okay, so let's just fade that in a little bit later. Oh my god, how do we do that? Here, let's just grab this square alpha. Let's put that down there to the other logic. See, this line is shorter than this one. Isn't that nice? Square alpha. So one of the easiest solutions would be to well, let's just turn this into a clamp. We can make sure this stays between 0 and 1, and then the easiest thing we can do is just subtracting something from here. Designing with math. Okay, no. Not working. Why? Did I subtract too much? Did I subtract it at the wrong position? I'm not really trying to understand that line of code. Just trying to make it work. Okay, now it's fading out too quickly as well. See, that's the problem. I'm sure it will fade in a bit later as well now. But I'm sure it'll... Yeah. I like the point where it fades in now. I do not like the point where it fades out now. It fades out too early. Okay, let's just redesign that entire line. Should we really do that? Because this doesn't even need to change its alpha later on. We just need to make sure. Mod 20 minus 10. Okay, just to make sure that we don't accidentally delete something that we can't reproduce, let's save that line and then we can make a new try here. So we do want this time divided by 60 part, yes. mod 20. That is correct. And then if we divide that by 20, then we have something that slowly fades in over time. And now if we subtract like 0.3, then we can control when it'll fade in. And then if we multiply that entire thing, you can make sure that it stays at a certain point, and then we can just clamp it. Very exciting stream, I know. I hope you're at the very least learning something about math, and I'm not just breaking your poor brain cells. What game engine do you prefer to start with 2D games? Thanks for inspiring me to make games. You're welcome. Oof, also, I feel like the game engine at this point doesn't even matter. There are so many really good game engines. Of course, you need to look a little bit what game engine is specialized on and which kinds of games you want to make. The ones I've used so far are Game Maker and Unreal, and then I've had a very, very brief and quick look at Godot and Unreal Engine for like 1 day each. So every engine has upsides, downsides. If you want to make 2D games, I would argue that both Game Maker as well as Unreal, as well as Godot are perfectly fine. Perhaps if you're making 2D games, I'm not sure if you really want to use Unreal Engine. But whichever one you go for, Game Maker, Godot, or Unity, all of those are completely fine for 2D games. Yeah, this is not working. Did I forget to offset this somehow? I feel like the other line was already way closer to what I wanted. Oh, this is so painful. This math is so painful. So what was the issue again? I already forgot. At the beginning of the game, Squid says that he will destroy humanity, but that he's then he's asking about the difficulty, and then the funny music that doesn't really fit, you know. Are you one of the playtesters? Have you played the recent version? Yeah, I'd love to have a discussion about the beginning of the game. It's just fading out too quickly. So if you're one of the playtesters and you dislike the beginning of the game, or you think there's something that should be changed, then please hit me up on Discord. I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts. It's fading in at the correct time. It's fading out too early. I don't want it to fade out at all. Why is it even fading out? The reason why it's fading out is because of those -10 here. So what if we just do mod 10? Slash what if I remove those -10? Let's check what that will change. I don't understand my own math anymore. Then I can't see that at all anymore. And now it's fading in. Ah! It's so tricky. I'm feeling lost. So lost. I wish there were a methodical way I could go about this. See what this is why I don't like streaming stuff like this. It's so embarrassing on stream. Oh jeez. I'm sure I'll figure out the solution eventually. All the boxes will have universes inside them, right? Yeah, that's the idea, right? Yeah. Nice game right there. Thank you very much. If you wanna play it and do me a big favor, you can click the wishlist button. Link to the Steam page is in the description. Put a text box on the screen where you can dump the values so you can find what's going on. That is a very good idea. Especially when working in Unity. That works pretty well. Here, sure, that would be like one of the last resorts that we could go to. Because then we need to code text boxes first. There are no default text boxes, unfortunately, in GameMaker that you can just put in there. But that is a very, very good idea for debugging in general, if you just can't figure it out. That's one of the nice things about Unity as well, right? You don't even need to code any text boxes because you have the inspector right next to the game anyway, and you can just change the numbers there basically while the game is playing anyway. That is just one of the default features in Unity. GameMaker unfortunately does not have that. I guess I could use the debugger to do the same thing. That one allows you to change variables as well at runtime, I think. But we could also just use logic and critical thinking to figure it out. And once again, we have almost 100 people watching my technical difficulties. Hey, welcome everybody. Yay! Oh. Is it so nice to see me suffer? Do you really enjoy that so much? You have an idea, make an Easter egg about one of your watchers. You mean, for example, I could put your duck icon in the game? Well, I hope we'll put a bunch of cool Easter eggs in there. Is there not a draw text function? Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a draw text. What the hell? What? Seems like I used some camera hotkeys and messed up this line of code even more. Wasn't there a 60 here just a couple of seconds ago? Oh my god. Let's try to decipher what this line does. Time by 60. That is just the current animation time in seconds. Minus 10. No, this term right here is square alpha. This right here goes between 0 and 1. Right? Let's try to keep it as simple as possible and then work our way up from there. Now it's fading out, which is okay. Now it's fading in. Okay. So that is just a basic fade out, fade in. Now how do we turn that very basic fade out, fade in into a less basic fade out, fade in? Very good question. Glad you asked. Okay, so we can probably offset that back a little bit. Or how do we how would we remove the fade out of this? How would we remove the fade out from this? Does that not remove the fade out? I don't understand why that didn't work last time. Maybe I'm missing something obvious. Because we only really need the fade in, yeah. Now it's fading in. And we don't need the fade out. That's right. Because that makes everything so much easier. Then we can just multiply that by... I take it back, we can subtract something from this. For example, we just want the fade in to start like 0.2, 20% later. Then I can multiply it by 10 to make the fade in faster. See, with logic you can overcome every obstacle. People who are just turning in a very confused. Yeah, I'm trying to make a nice background that's basically... Oh no. Why is it not fading in at the correct time? And now the alpha just disappears. What? Oh, I thought I was already so close. Apparently not. So we need like a 10-second offset or something like that in here. I feel like. The goal is to create a fractal, universes inside universes, as a background. Let's see if it works this time. It is not fading out, very nice. The square just stays there. And now new squares should fade in every second. Yes. Maybe we can make them fade in a little bit later. And we have a new universe in the center here that we can zoom into. Nice. Okay. Genius. It's working. Just let's make it fade in a little bit later, which is actually this variable. Never thought that just making a fade in out through code and game engines could be that complicated and time consuming. Yeah, I mean, usually it isn't. Usually it really isn't. What makes things complicated here is like the interactions with all of the other stuff that's going on. The parallax inside of the universe, like the way the stars move when we're inside this universe here. There's a little bit of parallax going on, and then all of that infinite looping. We need the texture to loop infinitely. That just require a little bit of extra magic. Okay, now let's see if we can make that look a little bit nicer by giving those outlines a different color. Let's make them purple, for example. Object level styler cal AI. I'm gonna try giving these outlines the AI color, essentially. Would you try 3.5 to make it fade in even later? Yeah, I can try that. Yes, that color is not so nice. I feel it doesn't really fit in. I feel like at the end of this animation it could loop a little quicker. Like right now is when the squares could already start appearing and the animation could just start from there. Feels like there's a little bit too much black space in between. Also the color I do not like, and then we'll fulfill the request from chat to turn that into a 3.5. Maybe the border should just be blue. And now, of course, the question is, how do we make that animation? Like, how do we cut the last 3 seconds of that animation? So not looking forward to figuring that out. Yeah, but you can see what I mean, right? I feel like the 0.35 was a good idea, just making him fade in a little bit later. But now there's even more empty black space in between that we should probably try to get rid of somehow. And this just looks a little empty and boring. I want it to loop sooner. I want those black squares to appear sooner. Will we be able to do it? Also, what do you think about that outline color? Do you think that outline color works? Okay, I think it's time to separate some of these variables so we can control them a bit more easily. For example, one I really want more control over is the zoom speed. I think we can just multiply that into the time here. Universe alpha size, and then probably in here. And then we also need to multiply that in here. And of course, where else do we have time? In here. Then we can get rid of that. And now, for example, we can try out what happens when we make the zoom 10 times faster. We should probably do that with a couple more variables so we finally know what the hell they're doing, right? And even when we do it like this, you can see that there's clearly a very nasty black space that interrupts this beautiful loop. This could be such a nice looping animation if the blue squares started appearing quite a bit sooner. But they don't. Not looping quickly enough. There's a gap in the loop. Oh, also this makes me feel really dizzy. But perhaps for debugging, having a little bit of a faster speed is actually not the worst idea. Can you make the color random? Yes, I can make the color random. I can only change the color of all of the squares, not of the individual squares. But what we could do is we could just allow for a little more color variance in the shader, for example. That is something we could do. Let's just try a couple of things. What, for example, happens when we... Well, there are a couple of things we could try, actually. Can make this fade in here a little bit. We'll see if that looks any good. It's a bit fast, isn't it? Yeah, of course. We won't keep it that fast, we'll slow it down later on. Just experimenting. I like that style when it's zoomed in, it looks nice. What if we make the color change during the animation, the color of the outline? That could be cool as well. Okay. Hello, hello. First of all, let's extract a couple more variables here. For example, these two here. The loop size, let's call that loop size 20. I just want to play around with these variables a bit to see what they do. In fact, no, not really an idea. Where do we have that 20? Let's replace all of those 20s. 20. 20. And then let's replace all of the 10s. But not this one here. That is not part of the equation. Neither is this, as far as I can tell. Okay. First of all, let's check if everything still works. My god. The UI in Game Maker sometimes is a little strange. Like this code editor feels like a level editor. I know you can also like put this up here. Maybe I should do that. Ah, right. I can't zoom in here. Dang it. Well then. Like if I added tiny code like that, you literally can't see anything. It's not very ideal for stream. I mean, not that this is any interesting anyway. I'm just looking at code. Woo! How you're all doing? You're still hanging in there? It would be cool if it accelerated. Oh yeah. That could be cool as well. It would be cool if the camera would fly through a different rectangle each time. Yeah, that would be cool as well. True. However, I'm not sure if I can make that work with my math skills. I sadly lost the motivation on my game project. I didn't have a plan what my game should be and how it can stand out and feel quite unique. I mean, have you seen my how to come up with game ideas video? I think there are some good tips for how to come up with game ideas that stand out and are unique and interesting. You are a good pixel artist at Jonas. I'm not sure if that is true. Like I can, if you have a look at some of my sprites, you'll see what I mean. Like most of my sprites are just stuff like this, This doesn't necessarily require a good pixel artist. And even if we go into traps here, for example, the spikes, those are the spikes. That's the spike sprites. I'm such a good pixel artist. I can make spikes with stripes. But what I can do is I can write shaders that make everything look nice. That's what I can do. I've shown this a couple of times on stream, how horrible the game looks without post-processing. But let's show it again. Post-processing here. That's basically without most of the fancy shaders. Yeah. I mean, it still kind of works, but it's not quite the same. Looks so washed out. Ooh. Here we go. So what do we do? Right, I wanted to play around with those values. I remember. I keep getting distracted. What if I just reduce the loop size by 3? Does that actually do what I wanted to do, or will just that? I'm assuming that will just create an awkward hiccup in the animation. Yeah. The only thing that happens is that everything gets awkward. Wait a sec, the starry background is still working just fine, right? It's just the squares that are messed up by this change. Oh no. No. But then if I reduce both the size as well as the loop offset, then all I'm doing is speeding the animation up, right? So that's pretty much the same thing as increasing the zoom speed. So I'm afraid I won't be able to use those. Oh no, it's not doing the same thing. Interesting. Thought that would do the same thing. I mean, in theory, that is yeah, that is a little bit like what I wanted, but not quite. Nah. Should we figure that out on stream, or should we just do that to do something different instead? I'm not sure. Okay, let's try the color change. Boom, 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 boom. That one should be pretty straightforward, right? Color blend equals beep, 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 beep. Oh, what is this? Did I miss this? Loop size. Here or something missing. That changes everything. Let's try that again. I'm sure it will still not produce any reasonable results, but perhaps it will do what I suspected it would do. That being just the same thing but faster. And that is not quite true. It is not doing the same thing. Ah! Oh my god, actually, maybe we can make it work like this. I think it is doing what I wanted to do. I said I want like 3 seconds less of that crap in the end. Oh my god, will we actually manage to make it work? I'm excited. Do you make Unity tutorial? I mean, in the last year I made about 3 Unity tutorials, and yes, I will keep making Unity tutorials, but probably not very frequently. Simply due to the fact that they're not very exciting to make, and most of the time it's like there are a couple of videos that I'm more excited about. Plus I feel like Unity tutorials are not really interesting to everybody. Yes, they're interesting to a couple of people who are just getting started with Unity. And probably also very useful. I feel like sometimes there are videos that are more useful to more people, if you know what I mean. Might be mistaken. I don't know. Hey, this is actually doing what I wanted to do, I think. Maybe we can cut off a little more, maybe 15. In the best case scenario, I would really like... I'm not sure if that is actually doing what I want to do. Why is that not working? What the hell? Wasn't it just working with 17? Ah, yeah, I guess the issue with that is that the blue squares are snapping back to the beginning then, and we can see them popping back to where they were. Okay. Even here you can see when they're resetting. Dang it, okay. Okay, we need to make them reset at a different time then. So in theory, this can all be figured out, I guess. These down here just need a little bit of a different loop offset. And then everything will work out just fine. Oh lol. Why does this line even work? This should not have worked in the first place, GameMaker, what the hell? Like, a line like this doesn't even throw an error message, probably because there's this line after that. And this has some sort of return value. Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. Color blend equals... time times zoom speed divided by 60 plus loop offset mod loop size. Okay, that one became a bit longer by replacing those variables with actual variables. Then we can make this blend color merge color, and then for example we can merge between in the player color and the AI color with this variable. And then we can use this variable for the color. And now the squares should change color as they go. Super, exactly. Zzz. Oh, that is a little more colorful than I imagined. Oopsie doopsie. I mean, it has something as well. Maybe we should make it that colorful. Kinda has something. Well, let's make it work in its intended way first, please. Please. Color 1, color 2, and then the amount. Ah, yeah. Divided by loop size. Then off stream I'll probably clean this up a little bit and make sure everything works a little nicer. Okay, see now it's going from a bluish tone to a more purplish tone. Of course, if you want to see more of that blue, then you have to add something like this. And then just clamp that value here between 0 and 1. Don't like the squares appearing, and I really like the effect when you just get into the square. But I don't know where you're going with this. I mean, there are levels where it just looks like this, right? This is what you mean, where there are just a bunch of lights. And this is basically already a variation of that. Can show you what I mean for a second. go back a bunch. There are levels that look like this. This is what you mean, right? This is a nice effect, I agree. I like it as well. What we're doing now is a variation, essentially. Oh, why the hell am I too stupid to get up there? Here we are, and eventually we'll manage to figure. My English stopped working. We'll figure out how to make this look nice as well eventually. It's still work in progress. It's not quite there yet. Okay, very nice. For which time is it, by the way? Okay, I've been streaming for 1.5 hours. I feel like I should probably finish the rest of this effect off stream, because there's just some more trial and error and math stuff to do. So I would say let's go into questions if you want. I can read the stream for a little bit. Here you go. You've got your live stream. A little bit of random development. Hope you found it interesting. And of course, if you want to support me, the development of this game and the YouTube videos I make here on this channel, then one of the best ways you can do that is by wishlisting the game. Link to that is in the description. Thank you very much. Okie dokie. What up? Let's read chat for a little bit. Can you please make a video about writing a game story? You're asking me about that. Oh god. Actually, it's an interesting topic. I have a feeling I will make a video about this eventually. But it will not come from a perspective of, hey, I can write good stories, here's how you do it. It'll be more speculation based. Time to control C your game. You mean you want to copy my game? That's fine. I can show you all the code, everything you need. Take it. Whatever. Or if you meant I should make backups every now and then, I do. Why don't you structure the code better? Mostly for the sake of quicker testing, right? I mean, I could spend a lot of time structuring my code better. I feel like that time would go to waste if I then decide that what I made doesn't work for some reason. Like, I just want to test things quickly. I want to design things quickly. When I get started with coding, I'm not always 100% sure how I want things to be. And when that is the case, then I just write messy code. And then, of course, the problem with that is that once the messy code is done, I'm too lazy to change it into clean code. If I know beforehand what I'm creating, my code is usually much cleaner. But if I'm designing and experimenting as I go, then of course the code turns out a lot messier. Which is fine. Like in the final game, nobody cares how clean the code is. Whatever works, right? What coding platform do you recommend? C++ or Java? Can't tell. I've used neither of those. I've used GML, Game Maker Language, and C#. C# is pretty cool. C++ I've heard is a little trickier, but still very popular for game development. And if you know how to use C++, then you can use Unreal Engine, which is very nice. So C++, probably not a bad one. When did you learn Game Maker Studio 2? Game Maker Studio 2, also, I mean, I learned Game Maker a very long time ago. I probably like 14 years ago, something like that. One of the earlier versions of Game Maker was like Game Maker 6 or Game Maker 7, something like that. And now they're at Game Maker Studio 2, so they went backwards in the numbers. What's your all-time favorite game? You asked that earlier. Yeah, I'm sorry. And sometimes I'm not looking at chat as much as I should. If I miss anything, then you can feel free to just ask the question again every now and then, as long as you're not spamming too much. So that is entirely fine. My all-time favorite game, I'm not sure if there's like one all-time favorite. I really like Portal. As you can tell, maybe Will You Snail is definitely also quite Portal inspired. The Talos Principle, Braid, a lot of these really cool puzzle games. And then I really like strategy games like StarCraft. I like good tower defense games like Kingdom Rush. Stuff like that is what I'm into. How long will the feedback for your game series last? That depends on a couple of factors. I feel like probably for quite a while. Until somebody installs a virus on my PC and everything crashes. Yeah. I mean, as long as you enjoy watching the series, as long as people watch the series, I'll keep making them every now and then. So no worries. I'll hopefully get to your game eventually. How can I know that my game isn't stupid? You can let a friend play the game, but not tell your friend that you made the game. Just tell them, hey, I downloaded a game from the internet. Do you want to try it? And then see what they think. I mean, okay, that might sound a little suspicious, especially if you like do it more than once. But that's one way to figure out if your game sucks. The other way is just, if you don't have a game yet and just a game idea, you can just tell people your game idea. Once again, with the same trick that you don't tell people it's your game, just tell people, hey, I've heard about a game that is called da-da-da-da-da, and it's about da-da-da-da, and you don't tell them that it's your game, and then you just see what they think about the idea. Like, that's a cool way to go about it. You missed me. I'm sorry. What did you ask? Just ask again. Your all-time favorite game is World of Goose. Isn't that a strategy game? Is that the puzzle game where you build stuff with your goo blobs, or is that the strategy game? What other games do you make already? So you mean which other games did I make? The last one was Islanders, and then I made a couple more games, quite a lot of actually, but no commercial games. So I've got a bank with like 100 games lying around, and I made a bunch more that I didn't finish. What's your current progress to finish the game? The current percentage? That's a very good question. That's always a little hard to figure out. I would say like 60% probably. And if you have a look at the game, all of the levels are already finished. All of the gameplay is already finished. The game already has a lot of the settings implemented. Steam API is already implemented. There are already a couple of achievements. So there's already a lot in the game, right? Sound effects are in there. Music is in there. But just that polishing at the end, and a bunch of story is still missing, and a huge bulk of voice lines is still missing, and still need to write and record a huge amount of voice lines. And just polishing that out and finishing all of that up will take quite a while. That's why I'm going with 60%. This is the third time I ask, what do you think about snails? They're both very ugly and slimy, but at the same time also very cute, right? They're just these little things walking over the ground and eating each other. Very ugly and cute. How to start learning coding and what language to start with. That depends entirely on where you want to go. Like if you want to make games, then you should start with a game engine and then just go with whatever programming language that game engine uses. For example, if you go with Unity, just learn C#. If you go with Unreal, then learn C++ or use drag and drop functions for whatever you can. Yeah, it's the bridge construction game, okay. Just asking because I think there's another game called something with Goo that is a strategy game. But I like bridge construction games. Maybe I should play World of Goo, I've never played that. Start with all languages. No. But one thing to maybe calm your mind a little bit is that it doesn't really matter that much which language you start with, because once you've learned one language, switching to another language is surprisingly easy usually. Like programming languages, yes, they are different, but the main thing that is different is just the syntax and the way you write things. But once you've understood how coding works, then switching between languages is usually pretty easy. If it's not a completely different, wild, crazy programming language, right? If you're switching between two object-oriented programming languages, then usually you shouldn't have a lot of trouble with that. Did you see snail teeth? Oh, do they have teeth? No, I didn't know they have teeth. That's an interesting fact right there. Thank you very much. Snails shoot darts at each other. Is that actually true? I didn't know. Seems like I need to do some research on snails. They're interesting little beings. Do you have a plan for mobile? No. I've tried making mobile games like 2 times and they failed absolutely miserably. I feel like marketing and getting seen on mobile is at the very least 3 times harder than on PC still, because there are just so many more games. Yes, given the player base is a lot bigger as well. There are a lot more people playing mobile games than playing PC games. But that doesn't mean that you automatically get more downloads. That just means there's more competition and the really big players or the really big games get more players. So I don't intend to publish on mobile anytime soon. And if I publish on mobile, it will probably be a game that works for PC and mobile, right? That would be an opportunity. Might be a possibility someday. When I come up with a game that works on both devices, then I might do that. Are you working at home? Yes, I'm at home. And that's one of the things that stink a little bit about my background, right? You can't really see where I am. Doesn't really have a lot of personality. It's just a black backdrop, but I'm actually standing in my room right now. Yeah, I would agree to you, chaotic, that the advantages and disadvantages of different programming languages don't really matter that much. Like you can do pretty much whatever you want to do with most programming languages anyway. As long as you go with one of the big players, like there's nothing to worry about really. Before you make game about animals, always research. Just a tip. Yeah, I mean that is a very good idea. I mean the gameplay doesn't really have a lot to do with snails anyway. One mechanic that would have been really cool, but that it's kind of too late for, is walking on walls. Cause I've heard that is something snails can do as well. That would have been a very fun mechanic when you can just run up walls and on the ceiling. That would have been very, very fun. So if I ever do a sequel for Will You Snail, that will definitely be in there. Bad coding joke? What's your bad coding joke? If bad coding joke doesn't equal 0, okay, you didn't finish the bad coding joke. You love my accent. Well, thank you. At least somebody. I know I have a little bit of a strong German accent. I'm working on it. Maybe someday it will be gone. When I finally figure out how to pronounce S correctly. You're new to game development. Then welcome to game development. Welcome to the game development family. Hope you're having fun making games. That's the most important thing. Make sure you have fun, because otherwise you'll not stick with it for very long. If you want to study a game developer in Germany, what should you have? I mean, you mean which education do you need to become a game developer in Germany? The truth is, you don't need any education to become a game developer. The main thing you need is a skill set that is required in a games company. As long as you can show that, and as long as you're a nice person, you can get a job in a games company. It's as easy as that. I personally went to a FOSS, so I don't know what the English equivalents are. I'm sorry. And then I went to study game design in Berlin at HTW Berlin, which is a very great game design school. I liked it very much there. But you don't need that sort of education. You can, as I've said, as long as you have the skill sets required, you'll get hired. Oh, that rhymes. Yeah, I don't think they care about your degree that much. I really don't. Of course, having a degree is still great, just for having a backup plan, because those sheets of papers are certainly important in other industries. As I've said, not as much in the creative industry, but who knows? Having a plan B is always nice. Weight in the game is the water, because snails cannot swim. Yes, there is water, but the snail is only underwater. So it's, in fact, it's diving, it's not swimming. So I guess it's fine. Do you like good food? Yes, very much. I also like bad food. As long as it's sugary and has a lot of fat. Yummy. You have the best questions. I don't like eating snails though. When did you start game developing? That must have been, yeah, around 14 years ago. But it's been on and off. So all of the people who are like, "What? You've been doing this for 14 years? Okay, I won't start doing this then." That is not really a good argument, because you can definitely catch up with me quite quickly. I've only been doing this full time for about 3 or 4 years now, if you include the time that I've been at game school. Will there be salt in the game? Yes, I've heard that suggestion before. I mean, that would make sense in two ways, right? Snails don't like salt, and also the game will probably make players very salty. Yeah, right, they're water snails. I guess you're playing a water snail that can also walk on land. And also it's a virtual snail, so it can do anything. Snails can also not move that quickly. Unity, Unreal, or Game Maker. Let's exclude Unreal simply because I can't say anything about it. I haven't tried it. Unity, Game Maker. Depends on what you want to make. Seems to be a very frequent question. Perhaps I can make a video about it so I can finally point people to the video when I get this question. Game Maker, I feel like, is very nice for smaller 2D games, like for 2D game jams and stuff like that. Unity is a little nicer for bigger games, and Unity is also a little nicer for 3D games. Game Maker can do 3D games, but I would really not recommend making 3D games with Game Maker. Doesn't make a lot of sense. You're from Iraq. That's cool. It's always nice to see from where people are watching. Is the snail in Will You Snail a magical snail? No, it's just a virtual snail. Okay. Seems like we're running out of questions. That is very nice. Then we can just close out the stream right here. How much will the game cost? I'm thinking about $10, which, yeah, I'm still thinking about it, but something around that, right? I feel like that makes sense. On Steam, it's always a little. You always have that phenomenon that people calculate how much gameplay did they get out of their money, how much playtime did they get out of their money, and if it's like 1 hour of gameplay for $5, a lot of people are like, not worth it. So I'll see how long the game is in the end, and then make some adjustments based on that, right? If it's a 2-hour game, then it will probably be a little under $10. But if it's like more like a 4-hour game, then I feel like $10 is pretty okay. Yeah. How long is the game going to be? I think I pretty much answered that question already. I'm not sure. It depends on how good you are at platforming games. It depends on the difficulty level you play on. My initial assumption was 2 hours, but a couple of people have said that it took them like 4 or 5 hours to complete. So something along those lines. How long will the game be at its average pace? Let's just say 3 hours, but I don't know. How long has this game been in development for? Good question. I mean, we can just check when I uploaded the first video where I worked on this game. I feel like that must have been about 1.5 years ago, but let's not forget that I also made Islanders in that exact same time window. So this was some on and off development, which makes it a little hard to tell. That's easily worth $10. That's what I say as well. Like, even if it's not that much playtime, it will definitely or hopefully be quality playtime. And there's just so much work behind it as well, right? So many different voice lines, and the AI will hopefully react pretty nicely to everything you do in the game. Hey. Yeah, no, this game was 90 minutes and cost $10, but I just checked the Steam reviews. I definitely saw someone complaining about that and giving a negative review for that. But I guess that's the minority of people. I mean, most people probably still value quality over quantity. It's just one thing to be aware of, that on Steam there are definitely 100% people who where pretty much the only thing that matters is how much playtime did they get for their money. Or that at the very least, that's one of the very big factors for a lot of people. A short game should have a short cost. What about Nintendo Switch? I haven't made a lot of experiences with that yet. I don't know how hard it is. Like, I'm still new to game development somewhat, right? We've thought about making a Switch port for Islanders, but in the end we're too lazy. Maybe we'll do it for Will You Snail. Maybe someday there will also come a Switch port for Islanders. Who knows? I have not made any experiences with that as of yet. If I do, I'll let you know all about it. Yeah, so far this has been a solo project. Sorry, I missed it. How much playtime do you think it will have? I mean, if I see this question one more time, I think it will be about 3 hours, 4 hours maybe. Round Rise, you've played it, you'd say closer to 3 hours. But you've also got to remember that when you played the game Brown Rice, a lot of the story stuff wasn't in there, so we need to add probably at least like a couple more minutes to that for all of the story stuff. But yeah, 3 hours for me sounds like a reasonable guess. My PC sucks. I mean, it's 11 years and Unity was too hard for me. Well, then Godot is the obvious solution because Godot is a lot more lightweight and a lot less taxing. Oh, Game Maker Studio 2 Switch costs so much in a month. Do they have a subscription service now? Let's check that. What's the pricing model of that for Game Maker? Features. Where can I compare all of the versions? Now, the pricing is always a little tricky to find. Like maybe here, get Game Maker. There's nothing interesting on the screen yet. That's why I'm not showing anything. Okay. Like here's the default pricing of Game Maker from. There's a creator version for $40 and there's a developer version for $90 and there's a console version for $190. Okay, and then we have some really expensive modules. I can see what you mean. Holy hell. Nintendo Switch, $800 for a 12-month license. That is quite pricey. Like I mean, if you're really serious about releasing games and yeah, I'm not sure if I would pay something like this upfront, but like let's say you've already released a game like Islanders, then this actually, and then you want to port that game to Switch, that's actually not that much. So in case Game Maker, I'm so confused. My speech, it doesn't work anymore. In case Will You Snail succeeds, then $800 will be a reasonable amount, I feel like. And I can understand why they need to price it like that. Because how many people are there making games with Game Maker that want to export on Nintendo Switch? And I'm sure implementing Nintendo Switch support into your game engine is quite a bit of work and requires a bit of maintenance as well. So I can understand where they're coming from, but yes, that is quite expensive. Holy hell. That's why I have the desktop license. Yeah, these are expensive, I agree. That's one of the very nice things about Unity as well, that we really have to appreciate. you only have to start paying when you start earning money, which is so nice. It just makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more inviting to new developers. And then the ones who actually make money, they are the ones getting taxed, which makes sense. No, I did not play God of War. Okay, let's end it right here. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Have an amazing day, and there will be a video on Friday, of course. A very nice one. And then there will be a live stream probably next week. Wishlist now if you haven't already. And that's all. Let's end it here. Thank you. Bye bye.